You are the least qualified FBI director in the history of the FBI. That is real, because you are the only one that never even served with the FBI prior to joining, yet we are supposed to believe that you are the greatest thing since sliced bread. I didn't ask you a question. Now, what I want to go through is to talk about why you are a failure and why, honestly, we just need to tell you bye-bye. I know that you got a little upset and you put on your show for your boss because it seems like you're trying to save your job when it came to talking to Senator Booker yesterday. But let's go through some of your failures. So before you were even confirmed, and I think one of my colleague from Georgia, pointed out that you were already targeting career officials so that you could direct illegal firings. Mind you, these cases that you were so upset about, which are the ones tied to Trump, the cases came through his handpicked FBI director. And frankly, when people sit around and say things like, oh, you know, we're happy because now we feel safe, I don't know who feels safe in this country except for the white supremacists, because I specifically as a black woman definitely don't feel safe. And frankly, my colleagues have been real nice to you today, and I applaud them, but I don't have the same demeanor because...
What you just heard was not a political speech. It was a documented accusation delivered by a member of the House Judiciary Committee to the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation on the official record. And here is the question this video is going to answer. Not whether Crockett was too aggressive, not whether her language was appropriate. Those are conversations happening everywhere else. The question this video answers is simple and specific. For every documented accusation Crockett raised in that hearing room, did Kash Patel actually address it? We are going to run a ledger, accusation by accusation. And at the end of this video, we will give you the final score. Because the score tells you something that the shouting and the drama and the political framing do not. It tells you what actually happened in that room. Let us start with the claim Crockett opened with, because it is either the most important institutional fact of this entire story, or it is simply not true. And the answer is documented.
Accusation 1. Crockett said Kash Patel is, quote, the only one that never even served with the FBI prior to joining. That claim is verifiable. The Congressional Research Service and multiple historical records confirm every previous FBI director came to the role with direct prior federal law enforcement experience, either within the FBI itself, the DOJ, or related prosecutorial leadership. Kash Patel's documented background includes work as a public defender, federal prosecutor, House Intelligence Committee staffer, Deputy Director of National Intelligence, and Chief of Staff at the Department of Defense. That is a significant national...
I know that multiple colleagues on this side of the aisle have faced death threats. In fact, somebody tried to kill one of my colleagues, and frankly, I don't know if this FBI or under your leadership, if those people would have been caught. I don't have any confidence in you. And if we start talking about the reasons that I lack confidence, we could start with you not just wanting to acknowledge some simple facts. Simple facts like the vast majority of the threats are coming from right-wing extremism. And I know my colleagues have tried to stress this, but I decided that I would maybe do it in a different way. Number one, I have a couple of UCs. Kim Buck, one of multiple Republicans receiving death threats for voting against Jim Jordan as House Speaker.
Without objection.
Another one, Republican lawmaker says she received death threats after voting against Jim Jordan in Speaker's race.
Without objection.
In addition, there was another one from another colleague who now is leaving Congress because they said that they were calling his wife anonymously and threatening her life to the extent that she ended up sleeping with a firearm.
Without objection.
Okay, so here's the deal. How are we supposed to have confidence when you're sitting up here telling the Senate yesterday that it will take you 14 years before you can get the FBI fully staffed to do their jobs? You're also now redirecting resources so that they can go and play ICE agents on the streets. You're getting rid of your most qualified people. And even when it came down to somebody that you consider to be a friend, you were posted up having some fancy dinner to the extent that you posted not only once, erroneously. You posted twice erroneously as it relates to catching somebody, and then you want to go and say, let me take a victory lap, because honestly, if it wasn't for parents deciding that they were going to turn in their child, it seems like y'all wouldn't have got there, even though he literally confessed online. So I'm confused about what it is that the FBI is doing, except for trying to put on a show for the apprentice, or whatever you want to call him. The day after all of this took place, there was domestic terrorism that was taking place at HBCUs. They were targeted. Yet I didn't hear anything from the FBI about what was going on. And again, black people kept saying, how did we end up in this?
3 more specific claims in one clip. Let us go through them one at a time, because speed is how they get lost. Accusation 2. Death threats to lawmakers, and a question about whether this FBI would have caught the perpetrators. The death threat claims are documentable. Crockett entered news articles into the committee record. Multiple Republican lawmakers who voted against Jim Jordan as House Speaker received anonymous, threatening calls. One congressman's wife was reportedly sleeping with a firearm because of threats. These are public reports. They are not contested. What Crockett raised was not whether the threats happened. She raised a specific confidence question, whether the FBI, under Patel's leadership, would have investigated them effectively. Patel's response, which we will hear in full shortly, made no specific reference to the death threat question. He spoke to the FBI's broader crime statistics. Ledger update. Accusation 2, raised, not directly addressed. Now accusation 4, and this one has received almost no coverage anywhere. Crockett stated that domestic terrorism struck an HBCU, a historically black college. And then there was accusation 5, the one Crockett laid out in the most specific operational terms of the entire exchange. Crockett referenced reports that during the Charlie Kirk assassination investigation, while the suspect was still at large, Patel was at a dinner and posted incorrect information twice on social media, claiming the suspect had been apprehended, before the suspect actually was. She then raised one additional detail. Quote, "If it wasn't for parents deciding that they were going to turn in their child, it seems like y'all wouldn't have got there, even though he literally confessed online." Crockett's argument was not that the FBI failed to solve the case. It is verified that the suspect was identified and apprehended. Her argument was narrower, that the resolution depended on family action and an online confession, and that Patel took a public victory lap on social media with incorrect information, twice, while the investigation was still live. The social media posting claim, 2 incorrect posts claiming capture before capture, is documented in reporting from the period, and was not disputed in the hearing. Patel's response mentioned child predator captures, drug seizures, and murder rates. He did not address the dinner, the posts, or the specific sequence of events in the Kirk investigation.
And ready to answer any and all questions from you. And categorically, Mr. Vice Chairman, when you say there's credible reporting, just because you say it's credible doesn't make it so. This FBI is doing a historic level of crime reduction across the country. I'm proud to lead it. And if you want to cite media reporting to discredit the men and women of the FBI, go right ahead. The target's right here. The mission has never been more successful.
Now, let us be fair and precise, because Patel's response deserves the same scrutiny as Crockett's accusations. First, the chairman's intervention. The chairman read Patel's professional background into the record. Federal public defender, prosecutor, House Intelligence Committee senior staffer, deputy director of national intelligence, National Security Council, chief of staff at the Department of Defense. That is an extensive national security and legal career. It is real. It belongs in this conversation. What it does not include, as the historical record confirms, is time inside the FBI before becoming its director. That remains the factual distinction Crockett raised. Now, Patel's substantive response. He cited 4 categories of performance: child predator captures, drug seizures, murder rates, and overall criminal arrest numbers. Analysis. Labeled Sourced to Hearing Transcripts Attribution to MS Now former FBI Assistant Special Agent Michael Feinberg. According to the hearing transcript, which references analysis from former FBI Assistant Special Agent Michael Feinberg, those statistics carry specific limitations worth examining. Murder is not generally a federal crime. The FBI
Here is why this specific exchange matters beyond the confrontation itself. Crockett's hearing was not the first time these specific issues were raised about Patel's leadership. They are documented across multiple congressional appearances. Former Acting Director Brian Driscoll, a 20-year FBI veteran, Medal of Valor recipient, along with 2 other senior agents, filed a federal civil lawsuit against Patel and the Attorney General. That lawsuit alleges what the filing calls a campaign of political retribution against agents based on the investigations they worked on. That lawsuit is active. It is proceeding through federal court. The reallocation of FBI resources, the 20% of the workforce redirected toward immigration enforcement operations, was confirmed in Cato Institute reporting cited in a previous Senate hearing. That figure has not been disputed on the Senate record. The 14-year staffing estimate came from Patel himself, in the Senate, the day before Crockett raised it in the House. What Crockett was building toward, and this is the structural argument her exchange was designed to make, is a documented pattern, not a one-hearing complaint, a pattern across 5 separate documented issues, from pre-confirmation firings through HPCU silence, that she is arguing adds up to a specific and serious institutional failure. Whether that argument constitutes a fair or unfair characterization of Patel.
I am living the American dream. And anyone that thinks the American dream is dead, just look right here. You're talking to a first-generation Indian kid who's about to lead the law enforcement community, the greatest nation on God's green earth. That can't happen anywhere else. To the senators and the men and women of the United States House of Representatives, you placed an enormous trust in me, an enormous leap of faith.
Here is the final deflection ledger. 5 documented accusations entered into the official congressional record by Representative Jasmine Crockett. 1. The historical qualifications claim, the FBI experience question. Not disputed, not directly addressed in Patel's response. 2. Confidence in the FBI's ability to investigate death threats to lawmakers. Patel cited general crime statistics. The specific confidence question about this FBI was not addressed. 3. The 14-year staffing timeline. Patel's own admission. He cited performance numbers. He did not explain the 14-year projection. 4. FBI silence after an HBCU domestic terrorism incident. Patel made no reference to this accusation in his response. 5. The Charlie Kirk dinner, the 2 incorrect social media posts, and the question of credit for a case solved by a family's decision to turn in their child. Patel cited crime statistics broadly. The specific sequence of events was not addressed. Final score. 5 specific documented accusations raised. 0 directly addressed in Patel's recorded response. That number does not tell you whether Patel is doing a good or bad job as FBI director. It does not tell you whether Crockett's characterizations of those events were fair or unfair. Both of those are legitimate debates with real evidence on both sides. What the deflection ledger tells you is something more specific. It tells you the structure of what happened in that room. Specific claims went in, general statistics came out. The gap between those 2 things